Hello, my name is Dylan Galtez. My candidate ID is 2388, and I am a junior at Gulf Coast High School taking the ACE Level Media Studies course. For this section of my creative critical reflection, I will provide a director's commentary on my 2-minute film opening, Straitjacket, a psychological thriller. During this commentary, I'll answer 2 of the 4 questions asked to be given a response. The questions that will be answered in this half are: how does your product use or challenge conventions, and how does it represent social groups or issues? And how does your product engage with audiences, and how would it be distributed as a real media text? The opening scene features a prisoner in a straitjacket being evaluated by a therapist in a dark room. She is shoved to the ground before the therapist begins reviewing her file and reflects on the events that led to her incarceration. This is followed by a montage of their subsequent meetings, where the prisoner develops a bond with the therapist. A key moment occurs when she accidentally spills water, allowing her to secretly grab a pen he left behind when he left the room to clean up the mess. As the therapist returns, a guard takes her away, unaware of the pen. The scene then transitions to the prisoner running in a grassy field, suggesting her escape, leading to a title card that includes the clips of fire and both characters. Let's begin by answering, how does your product use or challenge conventions? Answering the first half of the question, my film opening embraces and challenges the conventions of the psychological thriller genre in deliberate and thoughtful ways. The story adheres to genre norms by featuring complex characters and law enforcement elements while subverting expectations by providing the prisoner with emotional depth and a clear sense of growth, traits not always attributed to such characters. The title, Straitjacket, and the jagged, asymmetrical font for the credits reinforce the unsettling psychological themes typical of the genre. Unlike most psychological thrillers that rely on a grayscale or muted palette, we diverge from tradition by using a distinctive blue tint, which evokes feelings of isolation and emotional deprivation in line with the prisoner's internal state. The cinematography followed genre standards through wide shots, close-ups, low angles, and smooth handheld gimbal shots that enhance suspense in confined spaces. Lighting served a dual purpose. Scenes in the prison counseling room utilized high-key lighting to challenge thriller-setting expectations, and in contrast, the scenes depicting the prisoner's crimes employed traditional low-key lighting to shroud the action in shadow and mystery, a hallmark of the psychological genre. To follow up on the second half of the question, how does it represent social groups or issues? My 2-minute film opening represents the deranged, those who carry out similar actions to the prisoner. Some inspiration was taken from stalking culture, especially in shots such as when the prisoner is hiding in the bushes looking into a person's window. The film's opening gives insight into the concept of a woman being the stalker in the situation, as it's highly stereotypical for it to be the other way around. I'll now be answering the second question. How does your product engage with audiences, and how would it be distributed as a real media text? Marketing is a significant factor in getting the attention of distributors today. Using all forms of social media, such as TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Snapchat, etc., paying to advertise our film through social media would be the best way to get our film seen and pique people's interest. A website that coincides with the advertisement seen on social media, carrying similar themes of the film and offering ways to view the film, can help reach out more people to see it. If my product were to be distributed, its target market would be older men and women between 25 and 35, focusing more on women than men, as they often prefer the emotional value seen within the genre. Psychological thrillers emphasize mental gymnastics over regular thrillers, which focus more on literal conflict, potentially explaining why this is the target market. If I were to distribute my opening film, treating it as a fully fledged film, I believe it would be best to premiere it at local film festivals in my area to garner acclaim before opting to premiere it at more prestigious film festivals like Sundance, and hopefully reach a sales agent from a film distributor such as Bayview Entertainment, who have ties with Amazon and can make it possible to have my film be placed into their streaming service, Amazon Prime Video. Moving on to the second half of the creative critical reflection, I'll answer the remaining 2 questions. How did your production skills develop throughout this project? And how did you integrate technologies, software, hardware, and online in this project? I'll begin by answering the first. How did your production skills develop throughout this project? I was given the role of writer and sound designer for my 2-minute film opening. Although sound design was a new realm to learn and overcome when I was given it, I was familiar with writing a script as I had previously done so in my ACE Media class before for other projects. I chose sound design as it seemed to be an integral part of production, incorporating sounds and music that best fit within the conventions of our film opening. Leading up to shooting, I had articulated and written a complete script that seemed to fit within our time limit and was good enough to serve as our shooting script. However, we wanted to ensure the script was the best, so 2 additional versions were created, each incorporating various alterations compared to the previous one. For example, between the second version of the script and the final shooting script, a scene of the therapist walking into the room was cut for time and lack of purpose. Alongside the change, we added the flashback sequences of the prisoners lighting the house on fire, as we felt it was necessary to include that to add depth to the story. Furthermore, even when shooting, changes were made with the script and the overall telling of the story. Initially, we had an entire ending set to where the therapist would overhear a news report of an escaped convict before the sound of a loud bang blared. This was cut due to if we had left it in the film, it would have caused it to be a little over the 2-minute mark. Writing the script made me realize the importance of constructive criticism and correctly using the correct script writing terminology. However, this was advanced by the beginner friendliness of the software we used, Arc Studio. As a sound designer, I see space transformed into its own realm. For example, the sound of the light flickering on or the sound of the file opening. These subtle sounds, although they seem relatively minuscule when viewed from afar, emphasize world building and enable the audience to immerse themselves fully in the story of the film's opening. Midway through production, we encountered an issue with the sound equipment we used. It seemed to have randomly failed to work correctly, and the audio we were being given while attempting to use it was simply the audio from the phone we were using to shoot on. This became a pressing issue for us later, as our audio seemed wonky when dialogue was said, prompting our director and editor, Gavin, to go back to one of our actors privately to re-record his line to re-implement back into the film in much higher, pristine quality. Overall, the best aspect of our production was our strong communication with our feelings on specific shots, whether the lighting or the phone's angle. We discussed these elements together as a group and worked together through challenges collaboratively. Additionally, against the fact that our audio had malfunctioned midway through production, we improvised and tried to maintain clear and concise audio, which counts as us working our best with what we'd been given. Furthermore, planning was something well accomplished as well. As with all our lives moving in their own paces, it was astonishing to come to find times when we were all available to shoot and produce the 2-minute film opening. Lastly, maintaining a sense of genre conventions while writing the script of the 2-minute film opening allowed me to create a unique opening that offered a new and distinct way of combating and consisting within genre conventions. Finally, moving into the fourth and final question, how do you integrate software, hardware, and online technologies in this project? During much of the production of our 2-minute film opening, my teammates and I improved it using various software, hardware, and online technologies. Throughout pre-production, production days, and post-production, we all communicated via iMessage. This was where most of our conversations on the 2-minute film opening were held, whether it was where we were all available to shoot or give any constructive criticism towards our cuts. Text messaging enabled us to stay consistently focused and punctual, transforming our communication into a seamless and effortless experience. It allowed for quick information exchanges, ensuring that we were always in sync and ready to tackle our tasks efficiently. The writing happened mainly on Google Docs, Padlet, and Arc Studio. The first 2 were the most used when discussing different ideas of how the story could unfold, and Arc Studio, as mentioned earlier, was to write the entirety of the script itself. During production, alongside an iPhone as our camera, we used a boom mic, a gimbal, a professional light, and a tripod. In post-production, we utilized CapCut as our editing software to polish and refine the film opening. This allowed us to seamlessly stitch together our film and enhance the overall visual narrative. To complement our visuals, we explored YouTube's extensive library of free-to-use music and sound effects, carefully selecting tracks which sound effects would work best and choosing what music would best fit with our genre of psychological thriller. Thank you very much for watching this creative critical review, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Once again, thank you.